Most importantly, we strive to make these resources available to all Washingtonians who would benefit from our services and do so through active and engaged partnership with the public and private sector, partners in workforce and economic development, education, and training. We're honored to be engaged in many aspects of this work to help our communities. It's my honor and privilege to introduce our panelists. Kara Bauer is the owner and director of Youth Scholars Development Center and founder of Raised Development Center. Kathy Feet is the Commissioner of the Washington State Defense Security Department. Kelly Charvet is the Chief Administrative Officer of Chaz Health and the immediate past board chair of Spokane Workforce Development Council. Dennis Cisco Taylor is the Assistant Professor and Director of School of Psychology at Gonzaga University, is board member, Child Care Aware. And Shelley Willis is the Senior Director of Collective Impact at the Workforce Center. Bios and photos of all of our speakers are available on Swap. ESD looks forward to continuing to partner with our economic development partners across the state to support economic vitality and strong communities.
So we are, again, thrilled that it's out here. I'm going to ask you to be really creative in your questions. I'm really excited to hear them, and so we have promised to make time for that. Our format today is we're going to ask you all to give a brief introduction, 2 to 3 minutes, and just tell us a bit about how your work is connected to our purpose here at this week. And then we've got a couple questions. And again, please note yours as we talk through some of the strategies that we're going to hear about today. And I want to challenge our panel to get really specific. Something that I have value about today is I have a number of tangible takeaways. I think we're at the point around equitable workforce development where we know occupation segregation across industries exists. And what I mean by that is certain people with certain identities, lived experiences, are holding the majority of our quality, good wage jobs across industries. And we have an opportunity to challenge that status quo in a direct way in the state of Washington, and that already happened in many ways. So be specific, get tangible. I know this audience is really excited about takeaways. And with that, I'll turn it over to our panel, and I will start with you, Commissioner Pete. Can you give us a couple minutes?
Sure, thank you so much, Katie. I feel like you should be part of the panel now, and she is a total rock star. I really appreciate Emily shared a lot about the specific functions our connection and how I think about this really as 2 sides of the coin. One, employment security departments take on often in organizations. We think about the work people outside of our think about that a lot because that has so our agency has full access, opportunities, power, and the resources they need to support their full potential. To make that a reality in our city, we contribute through a mission about access and resources that improve economic security. And that means for our teams, that really has to be a set of values that are really to access, love, stewardship, and equity, and that has to be a part of our organization of our culture because guess what? Like the folks that we hire, we need folks to see how equity and this values play a role in the work that we do. Without that, we won't have access to the buildings that we have, and we're going to miss the opportunity to show up in a way to have a conversation that's critically important. I think when I think about I think about job quality as an impact of that, and that's why I started to do the same about who has access to what jobs and the connection to childcare, elder care, how this is an opportunity about the number of. I was at a longevity conference. If you look at the population growth and where we have actual numbers, I think there's piece there. I think we have to be focused on we have to think about things like the whole treatment within the systems to be able to have the support to really quality jobs, and that would have a sense of those that have been in the system. And that is what should drive where because a peanut butter and extra for one time, and a government guilty that we can administer. And that isn't from a position that there are differences in jobs. I could talk forever, so I'm just because I was over my 2 minutes, and I was it's like,
Fabulous perspective, certainly from the state government perspective. So we have to dig into some of that. Commissioner Feature, academics in particular, we are so focused on here. Introduction, your perspective.
Everyone hear me okay? Terrific. So, approach this sequences, Steve, schools like so, so, it's a high accessible the more those schools are the population. So I think it's so for that, students that's spring anyway. It's aware that this is a job. This is something that's so statewide, so it's so let's talk about one of the reasons really kind of get this paradigm proactive as when you start thinking about this, you'll just think about kids that are exiting schools, leaving school. We got started. No, a lot. Yeah, from like this social media. So children and adults access of knowledge is to benefit them. It's- I'll stop there and so much more to say.
We're excited to hear more about that. I think you alluded to something that's really critical in workforce development, and that's this idea that we have these really short-term, immediate, but also medium-term and really long-term systems change goals that require us to dig into middle school, elementary school, high school, and help young people think differently about the things that are accessible to them. And we also have companies calling us and saying, I need 20 welders in 6 weeks. And so that is a spectrum of short to long-term things that we need to have in workforce development. This panel is really well suited. So thank you for that perspective. I'm going to turn it down to Chef Willis. Shall we share for a couple minutes about your role and your perspective?
I know a couple minutes in. And we're eating into some good times, so I'm just keep it really short. So I'm telling you, what does that mean? It just means that we work around, I try to create work around 5 situations in which to actually solve a problem, that an agreed upon problem, find a solution for it with us in partnership. Just finding a common agenda, shared measurement, mutual reinforced activity, and also creating a backbone structure to support that effort and that team that what it does. And overall, our mission is just to do it this kind of work was to bridge the gap between job seekers and community organizations. So what does that mean? It creates a robust ecosystem. It means that we get to think outside of the box. We get to go beyond just the governmental things that we do. Sometimes we find ourselves stuck in those crazy things with government language. We always say, yeah, it's government. But we don't have to, we're not in that space. We actually have innovative ways, so we don't use innovation in a way in which that is cliche. Very intentional about working with our justice impacted individuals, very intentional about addressing mental and behavioral health needs, very intentional about tapping into financial literacy and ensuring that those that we are citizens to self-sufficiency so that they can contribute and become a part of the economic work is critical. So there's multiple avenues of approaching the way we think differently. And as a workforce board, we're meant to just really overarching, umbrella to help drive those things, and the connector. And so as we try to navigate those roles from the 50,000 foot level, I get to have awesome conversations up there, group in, but great conversation. And then we get to work, work with everyone who's on the ground and actually in it, and then finding a way to be able to communicate that to everybody understands. It's a really unique way approach in which to get people to think in a line. So it's not that your problem is in now, doesn't mean that what we're trying, the problem we're trying to solve with your organization can't be assisted. We just need to define really, really aligned, and then we can report. And that's the joy that I get, that I like here.
Thanks, Shelley. I think you touched on an important thing that we continue here that lead us to answer, which is that your entire job exists because no one can do this alone. Equitable workforce development does not exist in one business, one association, or another. So that's an incredibly valuable perspective. Sarah Bauer, we're so excited to have you here. We can share a bit about your perspective.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Happy Juneteenth Day. My name is Sarah Bauer. I am the owner of the Scholars Development Center and the founder of Race Development, a new culturally based preschool development center based in Washington. I'm very excited to be here, and I think one of the biggest things when I think about workforce development, I think about the governor, the beginning of COVID, he got up and he said, childcare providers, please stay open. You're essential, you're the key to continuing our economy. Don't close. And then he turned around and said, K-12, we know that we value your mental health, you need to close. Close all the K-12 programs. And that really resonated with a lot. Stayed on the front. And what, as a result of that, some of the issues we were already facing around mental health and behavioral health in our classroom, that then came into, we started seeing a lot of PTSD, a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety in our teachers in our classes. When you talk about workforce development, you cannot have that conversation and not have a healthy childcare community. And so when you have childcare providers that are breaking down, you have childcare providers that are not showing up to work when they've shown up consistently. And they're not showing up because they're terrified. They're going through their own trauma. The other thing is that you have childcare providers that are living in poverty, are experiencing the social impact. And then you want them to show up to work and be these shining examples of a perfect human being for these little humans to mirror. And none of that makes sense. If you're talking about workforce development, you need to make sure that first you have sustained and stabilized your current workforce. And that's really the work that I'm involved in. I'm a community advocate on top of the other things that I do. And right now, I'm really fighting for mental health support for our teachers in their classrooms. I cannot say enough about mental health of the person that is in charge of developing the minds and the shaping the perspective of the little people that are our. And so that's the work that I do. RAVE is, again, culturally based preschool development program. And I'm also tasked with looking for the gaps in our community that most affect Black communities. If we can figure out how to close those gaps, the education gaps being right for the Black community, all of our other communities. And so we have this community-facing behavioral and mental health program that we've been running now for over a year. It's actually a free center in already we're seeing a 40% reduction in behavioral incident reports or in incident injury reports as it pertains to people. We're seeing an overall workforce satisfaction amongst our teachers. So this also lends into, are we creating a safe environment? Are we making sure that they are happy and that they are safe to work, and are we taking consideration and meeting those needs that we so much more to say around respecting our early childhood.
What strikes me about this is this consistent theme that we have to take care of the people who we are asking to take care of our community.
That's right. I love that. Yeah.
And last but not least, survey, which has really great to have you here, and I happen to know you are also an excellent workforce development experience. So they had
so for those of you who don't know, Chatham Health Community Health Center, based out of Spokane. We have clinics all over the Northwest. We have 27 locations, about 1,800. So it's interesting to look back on our early days and reflect on, workforce development wasn't really in the vocabulary years ago. So this year we're actually celebrating our 30-year anniversary. We're also kind of doing a ribbon cutting in August for a learning institute here on the Iron Bridge campus in Spokane, and it's dedicated to on-the-job learning for apprenticeship programs. And so it's been pretty cool, just even over the course of the last 6 to 7 years, to see how workforce development has changed, and that employers are getting involved in this type of work where we haven't necessarily been before. So prior to this work, we really relied on our local school systems to be able to provide the talent that we needed, and that has really shifted. We still have excellent school systems here, but we know that they can't do everything for everyone, and we also have really untapped talents that exist that we are reaching into. So some of the goals of the things that we're doing include, so our for our apprenticeship programs, we've graduated nearly 300 apprentices during that time in medical assisting, dental assisting, and pharmacy technician programs. And, you know, last year, 47% of those in our MA program were BIPOC individuals. And so when we look at, you know, community health centers are really here to serve uninsured, underserved, most of them actually are insured now, but underserved populations, then we're really looking at how do we mirror that with our workforce and making sure, and actually now our workforce is more diverse, even than the patients that we see. So it's pretty incredible to see that development, and then reaching into all the pockets, including, you know, refugee populations who are resettling here in this area, and how do we create those better partnerships to be able to bring them into the system.
You all already did such a great job at getting really specific with some of those tangible examples, and so let's go a level deeper into that. We're leading with equity. So please share one or two additional specific efforts that your organization or business is taking to really dismantle some of those inequities we see in workforce development. Go first. Being called and go from there.
I'll just share a quick story. We've developed a really good working relationship with here, and so they've been wonderful about providing us great candidates for a variety of different positions that we have. One interesting, really success story is an obstetrician who was from Afghanistan. Who we've been able to bring in as a community health worker and who's doing outreach community for works. And, you know, and this is just one example of many where partnership. So going, you know, we have to go outside of our doors. We can't do this, and we want to make sure that we're creating that really welcoming, inclusive environment for our clinics. We have to do it outside. You know, in our normal day-to-day and figure out what the problem is.
You know, one thing that I would say, I think I would just think about that. You have to be intentional. You can't just, you know, Indeed is great. I know within the childcare industry, I feel like we all post everything on. That's great, but are you also looking to your community or your cultural hub? Are you being intentional about going out and seeking out neurodivergent and finding places within your organization that they can thrive? But then there's also this idea of, okay, I checked the box. I got the Black person, I got the Hispanic person, I got the person. I'm good. I got one, you know, 3 out of the 5. I got one each. I got one at the table. You can't have diversity for diversity's sake. It's not ethical. Are you asking people to come into your organization and conform to the way that you do things? Are you having people come in and allowing you to change and grow and expand your organization? One example that I'll give is an individual. He actually worked with the World Youth as well at Little Scholars, and she came in and she was ready to go. She did all of the, you know, completed all the state requirements. And I don't know if you guys know, but Washington State does not allow you to translate the RCWs or the Latin languages. You can Google translate it, but they will not provide that translation. And so she fought through it all. She got through it all. And then there was a 30-hour STARS training that she had. And where do you find that in school? And so we had to search out a STARS trainer in Spokane. I actually paid for her to completely change and adjust her curriculum so that it met the worker that we were to bring along. But the richness that she brought to our program, and that our children see, we have pictures where she and others went into classrooms and taught our students how to wrap their babies on the mat and how to do different tasks, like our dramatic plays never look the same. Are you allowing individuals to come in and change your organization, or is it just a
So I think, but more specifically, and I want to talk specifically around our partnership with the Department of Commerce, where we're working
workforce development, practices where we're actually working with local organizations. So that's earlier, like how are you reaching people? You have really trusted organizations who work within the community that you're trying to tap into, where we're actually being able to give them funding to be able to actually get equipment, wages, offer good wages, and just find a sustainable way in which to operate to our Black, Latina, and indigenous businesses. So it's real critical and from being very specific and it's about what we're doing with funding things and also communicating that out. But connecting and working with trusted sources is how we're able to be successful. And they're at the table helping us make decisions. We're not alone because that cyber of mind, you will miss something. And you will miss an opportunity. And the impact of that is already. More holistically, is we're just basically decentralized. We're in this clear reconstruction, deconstruction period. What we learned and what we've always known is that we can no longer be the White Castle on it. We can't keep building it and telling people to come. We have transportation deserts in Eastern County region. It can take someone almost 4 hours to get from the Eastern County region to Tacoma. We don't just serve the city of Tacoma. We serve all the municipalities. So we had to really take a hard stance on where to be. And one of the ways that we were able to do that is to roll back into the Eastern County region and put a kiosk in the mall. And it's actually a modular office. I don't like doing it's not. But what has that done? It's given us visibility because WorkForce is a brand, it is a location, it is a network department. That's what WorkForce is. And wherever, how we're using that and how we're actually force multiplying our visibility through that brand in that location, in that system partnership, people don't care where they get the assistance from. They just want the assistance. And what we take honor in is knowing that location that we put back into this has made a way and made it up for other entities, governmental entities that leave that area. And now they're coming back using that location to be in touch and to connect. And we're going to drive a little further. We have rural communities, the Black community. So when we're talking about that holistic, you have to be where the people are. Well, wherever that brand is, our goal within this county is to be the brand that they trust, location that they trust, this partnership trust, they can go into the receive. So that is our holistic.
I'll give you an example that actually builds on the partnership, which is really a funding mechanism in partnership with local workforce development areas to help bring people with the biggest barriers and in poverty really with the right services and flexibility in those services to be able to lift them really to some stage. And it's called economic security for all. The reason I attacked because it started as a small pilot, federal seed money. It has over a number of years now grown to the point where in the last legislative session it was contracted. And it came through this work together, and it sometimes, I think, when you're starting something new, you have that vision. What I really love about this particular work is that it is absolutely done. It's the right population that needs additional investments that calls out that need, and then gives the flexibility to the fits all model to be able to work in a one-on-one basis with individuals to understand what their needs are and then how bring those things versus like and I think that partnership in the system to both create this and work through those early sort of issues with like a business model for business. And really our role in that is putting the dollars out into those areas. And alongside that, but being able to have those who are really connected to this, who can figure out how it works best in those 12 spots. The same and even and beginning, I think there were a lot of people thought that there wasn't a good pathway to so we did a very small federal investment to now a much more significant state investment. That's that pathway. Out of the box. We stated, and it's we're trying to serve at the second. Really change things out.
So I've got a couple of different questions. So first, let's talk about something. One of the policies that funding for this is something that's constantly you say in the rules, right? To their kids when they're doing this. You're on 95, who's got your kids? Are they having a quality experience? So security funding, state level, also incentivizing businesses to help these programs like this. And so this is about something. Another thing that schools that we need to be pursuing broader availability. Start age 4. Don't need the but it's an access to and then you also have to take a look at as I've seen and it's often discussed that this is something that is for people, something and we have to change. This is something that can be universal. Children and families. Programs, seeds that are built, right? Because problems that are taking some is not right. Speaks to
No, led really well into this next theme that I think we continue to hear about, and that is strategic alignment, strategic partnership. We give a lot of lip service to, we gotta have different perspectives around the table, we gotta partner, we gotta align, we gotta collaborate, collective impact. And often I think we miss getting to the nitty gritty. What does that mean to partner? Does that mean I call you and you write a letter and you sign it and we're going into this grade together, or does it really mean deeper level, like skin digging? So I'm going to ask you also, you've alluded to a couple of really great examples, but can you name a business success story or other workforce development success story or example of where a real tangible partnership made something happen, changed?
So I know you asked for a success. Speak that. I'll talk to you guys a little bit about something I'm working on. Within early childhood education, there's a real workforce issue. A lot of the times you'll hear about people not being able to find childcare. There aren't any slots available. That isn't because current centers don't have the space, it's that they don't have the teachers to fill those spaces. This also goes back to the issue of teachers being in classrooms with students with very high a classroom of 16 students, and 8 of those students have a 7 or higher basis score. So you've got these, imagine yourself, if you've ever had children, being a parent of 2, and they're having all of these beautiful tantrums with their little beautiful faces because you won't let them lick the cat's paw. And then times, right, or 16 or whatever that number might be, and then you have one other person. I say all that to say we have a work. One of the things that I'm working on right now is Title I. Title I schools get amazing teachers right out of the gate. They get people that are coming out of university, out of college, and they might, have a master's in this or their bachelor's in that. And instead of going to a school up here on our South Field, they'll go to a home elementary and they'll teach there for about 5 years. Well, one of the reasons that they do that is Title I funding is federal funding that comes down. Schools have access to it, districts have access to it. They're able to do tuition or loan forgiveness. They're able to pay different salaries to the year, and they get a portion of their loans forgiven each year for every year they work at a school. Why do child care centers? You want to talk about partnership. You want to talk about workforce development, sustainability. This is how we do it for child care. What we need in childcare is access to that. We need partnerships with the school district because, for my research, the school district is the one Adams-Senior is not. The school district is the one that can make that decision whether or not to bring a childcare center under their umbrella and give them access to that. You also need partnerships with the current universities. Spokane is a college town that can't retain their college students. Why are the college graduates? Why is that? Right? So you need this partnership. I want to give credit to Stephanie for but why is that? So that's the partnership. In childcare, we need a partnership with the universities. We need a partnership with the school districts so that we can get access to Title I funding. Build a strong workforce. We want to say that being in childcare, being an early childhood provider is a career. Let's make it such. And the way that we do that is to provide funding. It's so easy to say here in Spokane, the issue with childcare pay is not a it's an Olympian issue. It's a state level. No, it's an us issue. All of us. And this is one way that we want the
Next, please. I'll be really fast. Just keep it as a partnership because we have a lot of strong school partnerships as well. I feel like we're at every avenue we possibly can first. So there's just a couple I'll mention. We last year took from many different school partners students through clinical rotations. We have about 5 stuff. So we're starting to see benefits, but it's a long road to actually retaining those students after graduation and bring them into our course. So there's a lot of intentional things that we have to do along the way through, and there's a lot of work to be done there still. I'll also give a shout out to one of the groups that I'm involved with under GSI. It's the Education Alliance, partnership with schools to create what we're calling the Explore program, school cross shadow program. So students and showing them what possibilities are in school healthcare. So what's been interesting about that is it started out as a small with us. So there is interest. I think some of the work that we have equity in the student issues. There are, supervision issues. Just, there's just some basic issues that we need to get. We're for, involved with that.
As an example, full population of folks major in or transportation network workers, it's often lower wage and the way that the insurance laws are constructed, so we had a different argument. Reality was when all it didn't have wages for most of them not thought that to not the way that they were. So through collective work, unions, workers with the legislature, with those transfer, we were up to the table, our government others created a work group that worked on policies that passed session. Workers are not insurance law very explicitly have access to and so I think those are the where it took not only part of the teachers, but there was some real state powers in this conversation, this solution, and there was a national issue. But there was a lot of interest in how that got we class of workers, and that we didn't undermine some of the legal action taken under law. And so it was a really interesting, I think, case study. Some really smart folks coming together to find solutions that is a result of really important that have benefits. They should have. They should have go on, but now not happening. Now that's the concerns that a policy.
Great, okay, well, thank you. We committed to questions from the audience. I had two more. Exciting information, so I'm gonna stop and just answer my questions that I'm gonna ask. For folks, there's a hand in the back and right here. I will do this one.
As long as it's an asking.
Nobody questioned us about to carry this on. I would mention WORFORCE and Washington State. Those who are not a state organization. I kind of reflecting back at the fireside chat discussion, listening here about having things that are accessible, going to work for that. I really appreciate the partnership that happens with BTC labor, and even in businesses as well for economic development. In this room, I'm guessing you all could that workforce development and economic development are intertwined. Even does not as well. They You're intertwined. You can't have one without the other. But in like small businesses or just other scenarios where labor was at the table, or maybe labor might have been to say, hey, we should work this level, or maybe they don't know something or something. There are other scenarios where you think of those partners, but I think a way to amplify
So I know that I've had. So you were talking about extended hours care, raises and extended hours care program, open 538. With no opportunity. The partnerships that we talked about with the hospital, have been around securing slots, especially for their ER, and their nurses that, you know, sometimes parents and have to, and so those are some of the conversations.
And I would say from a work perspective, really leaning into the evolution of how that work is done. From, you know, depending on whatever that practice is, when we're evolving into the jobs, initiatives, and talking about how we can skill up the current workforce and still create a pipeline for folks coming in and being able to assist in how we evolve what our career technologists is from partnership along with labor to ensure that there's how this evolution can happen. Because it's not about leaning out the workforce. It's about educating and elevating the workforce. And at the same time, trying to different generation of workers who are so inclined to look at things from a more technical perspective. And then they may not connect the dots between that labor perspective, labor and the technicalities may not. So that partnership of working alongside and having conversations with labor at the table around what does that look like, how would that impact of your workforce, and at the same time, impact communities of color who may not always get access to those opportunities. How do we assist you in getting or create that open door to where, you know, I say specifically working with Marvel Scholars, the Farmers Pathway Program, and the 95% places for young women and people of color who are in those programs, but working with career technologists, who are housing it, but we're funding it. Also at the same time, labor at the table, you know, bringing them in. So there's always a way, there's always a path to ensure that we're continuing keeping the pipeline for manpower.
I'm gonna take moderator privilege for a moment, because I'm not sure everyone in here knows what Power Pathway is, but I think this is a really great example of local workforce board funds, a free apprenticeship program in construction skill trades, run by a local nonprofit, housed at a technical college that also offers credit for it, registered by state apprenticeship, partnered with employers for a 95% placement rate for nearly 100 young people a year, 100% of whom are people of color. That has become, from Pierce County now, a nationally recognized program that took 5 different, who could have totally been siloed partners working together. So that's the example Shirley shared. I think it's such a critical example of what we can do in partnership with and technical others. So thanks for bringing it up. Please, others, if you have answers to this question.
You know, I just want to put a name that silent partnership. Labor management partnerships. That's kind of where those partnerships.
Okay, so this I feel like set up by the question is, what is the current state of participation in relationship with employers in workforce development? That's the question that was asked. The general perspective of many of them was workforce development. It was school's job, trade school's job, wasn't their job. They were there just now. It's changed, but what is the current state? What's working? Fuller participation from employers.
The crisis and the worker shortage. They're thinking a little bit. And so, I mean, I can talk to eye level and I just have reactions to their different. It's just like, go to your best. What I would say is that I think one, as there has been the introduction of that work, like sort of shift of away from folks coming out of the workforce, so through retirement, attrition, just some decisions after school to still for a minute, like assess and how this is going to be different. The employers are much all both utilizing the workforce development system and open to the conversation ways to upskill workers, to think about populations of workers that and to work with us through that and think about what some of those pathways are for populations of workers that maybe those industries are declining, or you know, they're you can sort of see the impact techs have sort of facing. So there is still, I would say, a long way to it's to the solution and one house.
So another thing that we're doing, when we're talking to employees, when we're speaking to employees, sometimes you have to get back to really what makes a good job. You know, and what is the level of responsibility or accountability that an employer can take in order to start to shift the tide? Flexible work environment, training, advancement opportunities, comprehensive benefits, organizational culture is big. Because people are choosing jobs now, careers now, off of their moral compass. What aligns? Who aligns with their core values? Believe there's not about, you know, the say work-life balance, but that's not actually transparent and equitable hiring practice. So it's not about checking the block and getting one each. It's about hiring the qualified, the competent, those who are really going to grow the business, and also you are going to reinvest in education practices, things like that. One, and then having self-sufficient wages. What does that look like? So when I'm talking starter wage, we're talking wages that and over time they will start to actually they're being paid for what they're working, what they're bringing to the table. So these are things that we're having conversations around that can give employers an idea. Is there a gap somewhere in any of those things that you might need to address or really want to talk about? Because we're interviewing, you know, job seekers are interviewing the employers just like the employers are interviewing the job. Yes, yes, because at the end of the day, you're trying to find a way to grow, get your manpower. It's impactful to the bottom line, whether or not you can either partner and be a contributor within your community as a business owner. So now we're looking at this pool of or this body of work that can be done to us and help you to grow as well. And so I would say yes.
One, and it kind of have to be because they must have workers.
I was going to offer a school system. Some of the things we're seeing in deregulation. State road says it's really everybody. Schools being defined career. All of this highlights the need. I think most professional increase job satisfaction. Job performance or it's huge. It's something that's huge. Strictly so skills, right? Better job. So
I just wanted to say something really quickly, and again, keep in mind that healthy childcare environment, to having quality workforce development. I want to speak to, I am somebody who values my work, right? I hold them accountable. I always tell them I'm not the easiest person to work with, but if you stick with me, I promise you will have outcomes. I'm grateful that people are choosing jobs now based off of their morals and their purpose versus the bottom dollar, right? $17 an hour. But to your question, yes, as a small business owner, I want to do everything that I can to build my work. But I'm telling you that there are barriers to that. And what happens is I send people back, because I want them to be more knowledgeable and have skills in the classroom. I provide mental and behavioral health support in their classroom. But what happens is as soon as they get that education, as soon as they get that higher level of skills, they leave and go to TK, or they go to the K-12 system, they become para-educators. And so we have this ever revolving goal. And it goes back to, this is a community issue. It isn't me as a small business owner wanting to hoard all of the funds, right? If the community does not respect this particular group of workers and see them as professionals and see them as educators, not just educators, I'm also a nurturer, I'm also a health and safety person for your child. If you don't value